Hi everybody, thanks for stopping by to check out the latest from Sailing Emerald Steel. In this episode we decided to take a bit of a detour because we originally planned to show you how we spent our exciting winter up in British Columbia and the San Juan Islands. But because several of our viewers have inquired as to how our electrical system is and how we use our solar panels, batteries, generator, etc., we decided to do that first. But as usual, first, we'd like to thank all of you for your awesome comments on our last video and for all your thumbs up and support of our channel. Thank you so much.
Anyone who is a cruiser, a liveaboard, electric is very important part of a life. Because we are not what you call a purist. We have all our electronics, we have a television, we have a stereo, we have a DVD player, we have a computer, we have some kitchen electrical equipment and so on and so forth. So you really need a pretty much electric to be able to run, so you can live a life the way modern people do in a house.
But we still have a small footprint.
Yes, we never waste electric. So we are very cautious about it, but nevertheless we also make sure that we have a sufficient energy.
I would say we're very aware of how much electric we use.
Yeah. Now I would say the first thing is what I noticed throughout the 30 years plus cruising, liveaboard.
And living off the grid.
Yes. And people get themselves a boat and they realize they need an electric system, so they go and read some articles in the magazines, perhaps book, and then they go to the marine store and talk to a salesman, and actually a salesman is going to try to sell you everything he can, not really care about what you need, but it's going to more care to sell you stuff. So I kind of feel like first thing they're going to tell you, you really needed a couple batteries, one for starting engine and one for your house, and then they're going to try to sell you a lot of charging equipment. And then actually in things like you need a battery combiner, you need regulators, you need battery monitors, you need on and on and on.
There's a lot of gadgets you can buy.
Yes, and everything is quite expensive. So let's face it, you have pretty much 4 ways to charge your batteries. The first way would be with your main engine through alternator. So that is one way. For power boats, when they are on the way, on the traveling, naturally they run engines, so that it's the way they charge the batteries, they have no problem that way. But the sailboat, if you're an anchor, if you're sailing, you're not using your engine. So another way to do it, you can go through with the solar panels or a wind generator. There are some people even have a water generator, which they put in a little propeller behind it, right, and they charge battery.
Quite a few different
possibilities. That is not really good for liveaboards because most of the time, by far, you're in anchorage, you are not moving. So solar panels and a wind generator is the way to go. Now, there's those one who follow our channel. They know we are not very, how would you say?
We don't always buy the newest and newest gadget.
And we also not very orthodox on the do things.
Right.
If we think we can do a better, smarter way or cheaper way, we always try to find it.
Right.
Now, let me share with you what I think is wrong with most systems, and you be the judge. First thing I think a big problem cruisers have is this here. They get a lot of charging system and very little of battery. Now what I mean by it is this thing here. Then they get a bunch of solar panels and a wind generator, and then they have a regulator. So after a couple hours of charging a full blast, the regulator cut down the output of the charging system down to 80%, 50%, 40%. So because the battery gets overheated once they reach, say in the case of a wet battery, 14.4 volts, and they cannot take any more, so the regulator cuts down. So here you have a problem, then you spend a lot of money for a charging system, including regulators and so forth, a battery monitor, but then after a couple hours your charging system cuts down, so you really waste all the money because if you're not getting 100% charge, you really paid more than what you're using it. So the way we went about it, our house battery we keep here underneath the stairs, and our starting battery are right here underneath our compressor. So if I want to get into my batteries, I have to take the leather off.
So here we have our 6 Trojan T105 6-volt batteries. They're 225 amp hours each, and they're connected in a series. They're the wet cell type, and we test the batteries once a month with a hydrometer, which tests the specific gravity to see how your batteries are. And we charge all the batteries together without using a battery combiner because they're all the same age and all the same type of battery.
So, and it's put right under the stairway, and also they get good ventilation right over hedges overhead, and also has here on the side in the box there are holes drilled, and the box is fiberglass. The starting battery I will not show you, it's under the compressor, but as you can see these holes there, they are ventilation for the starting batteries. In 30 plus years we replace our battery 4 times. So on average our batteries lasted between 9 and 10 years, which I think is very good. You can't really expect for much more. We just recently changed our batteries again after 9.5 years because one of the cell went bad, and we didn't want to just replace one battery, we replaced them all so they all stay pretty much the same age. And each of the batteries are 225 amps, so you're actually getting 675 amp hours. Now with the solar panels, we only have 2 solar panels, each one 80 watts. So total at the best time of the day when the sun is directly above it, it will give you 160 watts. And 160 watts at 12 volts will give you about 13 amps. Now that's under best circumstances. So you can say pretty much between 8 and 12 amps an hour. In that system we don't have to use a regulator. With that many amp hours in a battery, you have no problem to overcharge it. When we're leaving the boat, we always shut off the main switch, the battery switch, so nothing is on except our bilge pump and a refrigerator. A battery needs to be equalized, and to equalize battery you have to charge them up to about 15.5 volts, but you have to charge them very slow. That means no more than between 2 and 4% of the battery amperage hours. So 675 amp hour battery, that's about 26 amps. So our solar panels can never give you that kind of amperage. So even if a battery would reach 14.4 volts, it would not hurt if they go over it, because they will never be charged more than say 2% of the value of the battery, which would make a battery to get equalized. So actually it's very good, because it's burning off all the cracks from the plates and making the battery back as a new.
So how often should they be equalized?
If people do it traditional way, they should equalize once every couple months. But in our case, because every time it's really sunny and the battery reach 14.4 volts plus, then they get equalized automatically. Now, as I say, in the last 30 plus years, we never had any problem with the batteries. We never hurt our batteries, so we were very happy with that system. Now, as you see, we don't have to have all these expensive gadgets like a battery monitor or a voltage regulator, because the way system is set up, you don't need no voltage regulator. So what we really accomplished by it is that our solar panels giving 100% of its charge to a battery, and they are never cut down because they can never possibly overcharge the batteries. And we went one thing further. The solar panels comes originally from a factory with the diodes, so they do prevent your battery being discharging in the night. But it's also true, and those diodes cut down the input by about 1 volt, so you're actually losing more amperage during the day than what you would save during the night. So I actually removed the diodes from the solar panel, and I'm very happy because it works very well. Now we also charge our battery in the winter. We have to run our generator because we don't have as much of a sun as during the summer or in the tropics. So when we were in Canada, we run generator twice a week, At the same time, when we run a generator and charging our batteries, we also make the water, so we get out of the generator as much as possible. Because if you just run a generator to charge your battery, then it's not very efficient. And charging your battery with your engine is really a bad idea, because not only you wasting a lot of fuel, but also it's not very good for your engine, because diesel engines are not very good to be run under smaller load. Plus you're putting hours on the engine, so main engine is not very practical thing to do. And our big generator we try to use for other purposes.
And this is our power inverter. It's 2,000 watts, and we use it when we're using any kind of small appliances or smaller power tools. We also have a Blue Sea smart regulator. It's kind of hidden, so it's hard to see it, but we use that for when we're running our engine to regulate our battery charging from the alternator. Here's our smart charger. It's 40 amperes, and we use that only when we're using the generator to charge the batteries.
So what you need is a voltmeter, an amp meter, so you can check your batteries and what state of charge they are. Also, I would like to say that when we leave boat, like we've done it when we fly to Europe for 3-4 weeks, we took one solar panel and covered it, so only one solar power was on, because when you don't use any electric while you're going, then you don't want to be charging batteries too much. So as you see, we try to keep things simple, and also it is true that the more gadgets you have, the better chances for them to break down and really put you into a bad situation. Like years ago when we were in Fiji, a guy came to us and said, "Hey, Jules, you're an electrician, can you help me? My alternator doesn't work." And after I went look around, I found out it actually was his smart regulator, which was bad. And I helped him be able to run his alternator temporary without the regulator. All he had to do is really keep an eye on the battery charge, so he didn't overcharge his battery. But the point is that more gadgets you got, more things to go wrong. So you're actually paying all that money for having a bigger headache.
And from a woman's perspective, and someone who has lived off the grid for a very long time, since I was 23 years old, I would say that not having all the things that most women have living on land, like dishwashers, washer, dryer for clothes, air conditioning, blow dryers for your hair, and curling irons, I don't miss any of that. It hasn't been a burden or caused any kind of hardship for me. When it gets hot, we open our hatches. They're all facing forward, so the wind blows right down. And when I have to do laundry, I either do it on the boat, or if we're someplace where there's a laundromat, I just go do my laundry on shore. And we both feel pretty good that we have a small footprint and we're not using tons of energy, and being aware of how much we use. Okay, so I guess that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping by.